My ex-husband's side piece tried to find me a new man. Alexander's mistress successfully became the new Mrs. Hawthorne. We had an amicable divorce. 3 years later, I was still single. The new Mrs. Hawthorne, born into a working-class family, half-jokingly said, "It's Alex who delayed you from finding happiness. My cousin from back home is about your age." Alexander cut her off, his tone cold. A never-married man and a divorced woman? They're not compatible. Later, when news of my engagement spread, he showed up at my door. "Let's remarry. We're the most compatible." Chapter 1. 10 years ago, my mother was a seamstress working from a street corner when she met a man. Rich. Very rich. She convinced herself she didn't know he was married. She didn't want to be the other woman, but I was already growing inside her. She wanted me to be a proper heiress. Later she discovered she wasn't even the other woman. She was woman number 6. And I wasn't an heiress. I was daughter number 8. When I was 10, she died, and I was taken to the Whitmore estate. 5 women, 12 children. I learned to live carefully, never asking for anything that wasn't mine. But then again, what was mine? Nothing. At 16, the man who'd never acknowledged me suddenly summoned me to his study. Outside the door, my half-sister Victoria saw me and rolled her eyes. "What are you doing here? Who said you could wear the same color as me?" The man interrupted, "Get in here." Inside, besides him, stood an elegant woman with a teenage boy beside her. Cold, aristocratic, beautiful. That was my first meeting with Alexander Hawthorne. That day, Victoria smashed an antique vase worth $8 million. The flying shards cut my cheek. It was also the first time that man punished Victoria because of me. Suddenly, I had a place at the dinner table. I had my own dressing room, my own driver, everything my sisters had. For the first time, I felt like I had protection. Even though I'd never met Alexander before. Alexander's preferences became my life's compass. My days were strictly scheduled, like a marionette on strings. Despite the difficulty, thinking of Alexander made it bearable. At that age, with his looks, and the way he seemed to pull me from the mud, it was hard not to fall for him. I wanted to be Mrs. Hawthorne. The legitimate Mrs. Hawthorne. I transferred to Alexander's school. We maintained propriety while spending time together. Theater, horseback riding. You could call us childhood sweethearts. Everyone thought we'd marry smoothly. We did marry. But life isn't a fairy tale where marriage is the ending. Chapter 2. After graduating from Oxford, Alexander took over the family business. Everything proceeded methodically. We dated once a week, planned according to his preferences. One evening at a high-end restaurant, a couple at the next table erupted in argument. The man said, "Do you know how much this dinner cost? Stop playing pure. Waiting until marriage? Please." The girl cried, backing away like a frightened deer, almost bumping into Alexander. He frowned and dodged. He had mild OCD. Security escorted the man out. The girl tried to thank Alexander but was also blocked by security. I thought it was a minor incident. I even found myself wondering Alexander and I hadn't. I blushed at the thought. After dinner, I tentatively touched his hand. Alexander glanced down but didn't pull away. Later, bringing Alexander afternoon tea I'd made, I saw a familiar girl. She called me Mrs. Hawthorne respectfully. As we passed, I didn't notice her smudged lipstick or reddened knees. Alexander was working, didn't look up. The girl appeared frequently after that. Delivering documents, bringing me dresses, picking me up for company events. She was one of Alexander's personal assistants. I called her Meredith. I learned her full name when Alexander asked for divorce. "It's not Meredith's fault," he said coldly. "It's my decision. Don't blame her." His tone was icy, nothing like the man who'd once been tender with me. Just days ago, we'd shared a bed. Meredith stood behind Alexander, tears streaming, constantly apologizing. Just like that day in the restaurant. During sleepless nights, I wondered when I wasn't looking, had Alexander's gaze fallen on Meredith as she arranged my dress? When I brought him soup, was she hiding in the rest room? Had the seemingly abstinent Alexander already done everything with her before me? Staring at the divorce papers, I couldn't focus. Alexander's post-marital income was just a few thousand in salary. All assets were under the company. I'd leave with nothing. I washed my face, reapplied makeup. I had to see Alexander. Tell him I didn't mind Meredith. The Whitmore patriarch had 5 women, more outside. All wealthy men were like this. I didn't mind. "Alexander, please don't divorce me." Suppressing my bitterness, I went to his company. Watching the sunset from the car, I wondered if Alexander had told anyone about the divorce. Walking the corridors, I felt every glance held mockery and pity. I didn't see Alexander. I waited 3 hours. The secretary apologized. "Mrs. Hawthorne, Mr. Hawthorne just finished his meeting and had to leave urgently." Her eyes held sympathy. I understood. The sun set completely. No light remained. Chapter 3. Time moved both fast and slow. Fast gone in a blink. Slow grinding like a dull knife. 3 years passed since the divorce. A Chinese American tried to get my number. Designer logos, bleached hair, predatory eyes. Well, I'd been dressing shabbily. Money was tight in exile. I'd learned to grocery shop, do laundry, protect myself. Every day for 3 years, I tried to live well. Only when I saw domestic trending topics with familiar names did I pause. The story of a rich heir. Defying his family to marry a commoner always fascinated people. Netizens sighed that only the wealthy produced such romantics. Few knew this devoted rich boy had an ex-wife. I remembered our last meeting. The memory remained sharp, the pain fresh as yesterday. Outside the Hawthorne estate, I met Alexander and Meredith. Unlike the crowded Whitmore house, the Hawthorne estate had only one mistress, Mrs. Catherine Hawthorne. Men came occasionally but never stayed. Seeing me, Alexander frowned. What are you doing here? He thought I was trying to win him back through his mother. Displeasure flashed in his eyes. Meredith tugged his sleeve. Mr. Hawthorne, Alexander, Miss Whitmore is probably just visiting. A weak explanation. Mrs. Hawthorne was Alexander's elder, not mine. Alexander's lips curved in helpless fondness. How many times? Outside work, don't call me Mr. Hawthorne. At dinner, Alexander told his mother, I just wanted you to meet Meredith. Mrs. Hawthorne said coldly, I've seen her. Don't bring her again. Meredith's eyes reddened. Alexander's gaze held pain. The meal ended unfinished. Alexander left with Meredith. Leaving the estate, I saw Alexander holding Meredith, speaking softly. Under the wisteria, a perfect couple. When I'd been hurt, I'd never received such treatment. He was too busy with work to comfort me. I quickened my pace, not wanting to watch. But Alexander called out, still holding Meredith, Sophia Whitmore. I froze as he said. I hope we won't meet again. Seeing you upsets Meredith. We'd known each other 10 years, been married 3. What kind of person could say something so cruel without hesitation? Someone who no longer cared about you at all. Even if I'd kept my position through Mrs. Hawthorne, was that the life I wanted? The Whitmore house women and children sharing a large enough cake, each afraid of getting less than others. I didn't want to live competing with another woman for Alexander's attention. I'd had enough of walking on eggshells. I shouldn't have to live like that. The fog in my mind cleared. In the distance, the sunset painted the sky gold. Who said once the sun set, it wouldn't rise again? I smiled and answered, fine. Chapter 4. Because Alexander didn't want to see me, Whitmore sent me abroad. Until now. I'd rejected the Chinese-American man. When he persisted, bodyguards scared him off. Just like that, I was brought back home. Seeing Alexander again was expected. The lovesick 16-year-old me never imagined meeting him again at 29 would be like this. He remained handsome, now with mature charm. Meredith stood beside him, poised and elegant. The woman who once hid behind Alexander had transformed. Jade bracelet, couture suit, diamonds on her manicured nails. Her ordinary features had been enhanced, flawless skin, subtle surgical improvements. When I appeared, whispers erupted. Didn't Alexander divorce her? Is she here hunting for a new catch? She was nothing at the Whitmore house, and Alexander's used goods ho'd want her. I stood there, surrounded by contemptuous glances. Then Meredith lifted her chin, smiling. It's Alex who delayed you from finding happiness. My cousin from back home is about your age. 3 years ago, she wouldn't have dared call me anything. Now I was beneath her. She turned to Alexander. Alex, don't you think I'm a good matchmaker? Alexander said flatly, a never-married man and a divorced woman? They're not compatible. Meredith laughed, satisfaction in her eyes. True, my cousin's never been married. Just like when I married Alex. She seemed to realize her slip, sticking out her tongue at me. Look at my mouth. Next time I'll find someone suitable for you. Someone chimed in, didn't Mrs. Hawthorne attend the auction with Mrs. Sterling? The Sterling heir is still single. Laughter erupted. Everyone knew the Sterlings were elite. Their only son, Noah Sterling, was far above my reach. He was famously rebellious, never attending these events. That's why people dared joke about him. But the laughter hadn't died when a young man in a t-shirt and sweats completely out of place walked in. Sharp, beautiful features. Mixed heritage gave him deep-set eyes, high cheekbones. Long legs eating up distance until he stood before the Joker. His narrowed eyes radiated menace. What did you just say? The man stammered to explain, but Noah grabbed his collar. You think I need you finding me girlfriends? Everyone fell silent. Meredith tried to smooth things over. Noah, he was just joking. Noah didn't acknowledge her. Everyone assumed he was angry about being linked with me. A divorced woman was an insult to him. But I knew better. He wasn't angry about that. After the scene ended, someone pulled me deep into the garden. Muscled arms circled my waist, too strong to resist. A familiar nose nuzzled my neck. The person bent close to whisper unhappily. Did I need her matchmaking? I can confess myself. Chapter 5. I first met Noah Sterling abroad. Cliché story. I'd rented an apartment. The landlady was Chinese too. She wanted to introduce her distant nephew. He's mixed race. He doesn't speak Chinese well, and his English is rough, but you'll get along. I politely declined, but she persisted. One evening, returning home, the landlady said the pipes burst. I could stay at her other property nearby, there was a spare room. The old woman's scheming was obvious. But I had little money. I'd manage one night, figure something out tomorrow. At the new place, men's slippers by the door. Good wasn't home yet. While washing up, I received a message from Alexander. Where's my trench coat? The message triggered memories. Years ago, Alexander was attacked. I'd thrown myself in front of him, taking a blow to the head. He'd frozen, then held me tight. That year, we married. When Alexander slipped on my ring, his eyes were intensely serious. Sophia Whitmore, I'll be busy, maybe not the best husband, but I'll ensure you're secure as Mrs. Hawthorne. I'd treasured those words. After marriage, I eagerly exercised my rights as Mrs. Hawthorne, managing Alexander's wardrobe. That coat I designed. Myself. I'd learned many things but loved tailoring best. Like my mother. Giving it to Alexander, I'd been nervous. He wore only custom pieces. But he'd traced the cuts on my hands, kissed my forehead softly. I love it. I'd photographed him wearing it. Where the coat was now, I didn't know. Why Alexander wanted it was unclear. I sat dazed, scrolling until I found the answer. Meredith's social media post. Someone spent 3 hours searching because I said it looked nice. Found this sack. 2 photos, one I'd taken of Alexander years ago. The other showed Meredith wearing the coat with sleeves cut into fringe, posing playfully. Top comment, such creative couple photos. I remembered a quote, I wasn't part of your past, but I'll make sure remembering your past means remembering me. Before I could process this, I heard movement outside. Someone turned the handle. I'd locked it and barricaded the door with chairs and luggage. Finding it locked, they applied force. The door shook violently. I tried communicating, I'm just staying one night. I'll leave tomorrow. The person sounded incredulous, you think you can just stay here? Freeloading. I was annoyed, not noticing his fluent Chinese. What choice did I have? Did staying mean I wanted something to happen? I said firmly, I have no interest in meeting you. If you mind, I'll pay rent. Silence, then a laugh. Angry laughter. Then nothing. Just when I thought it was over, the window burst open. A figure climbed through. This was the 6th floor. Wasn't he afraid of falling? Seeing his face, I was more shocked. Definitely mixed heritage. White t-shirt, fresh from working out. As he moved, his shirt rode up, sweat trailing down his abs. Mixed race advantage, sat at least 6 feet 2 inches, black hair slightly curled in the night breeze. Looking like that, did he really need his aunt's matchmaking? Seeing my face, his pupils contracted. He froze, then cursed quietly. Who sent you? They did their research. Knowing exactly my type. Pervert. Before he finished, I grabbed a bat and swung. Chapter 6. That's what I thought was our first meeting. A misunderstanding. The landlady's nephew was Kenyan Tanzanian mixed. And didn't need matchmaking. Both apartments had the code 123456. Noah sat on the couch, lazily listening to my explanation and apology. He held my passport, silent for a long time. Then pointed to his injuries, so, sorry, makes these disappear? You know how expensive hospitals are here. I guessed he was a broke student. I was mortified, sorry, I'm broke too. Anyone coming home to find a stranger who locked them out and offered to pay rent would be furious. Especially when that stranger then beat you. And hit your ass. The memory flashed. Unbedenhi's ass was so round and firm, my umbrella bounced right off. I shook my head, trying to banish the image. Whatever you want, I said, more ashamed. Whatever. Noah smiled playfully. I have a spare room. Split the rent with me. That's the best compensation, economic compensation. The rent he quoted was below market rate. He was handsome enough to feel safe around, not the type to desperately jump me. I really didn't want to return to the old place. The landlady demanded a penalty fee until I exposed that the pipes weren't actually broken. She left huffily. So I ended up living with a strange man abroad. Noah was nocturnal, active at night, sleeping days. We rarely met. Convenient for me. Sometimes I'd leave extra food when I cooked too much. Once I saw his jeans torn on the couch. I couldn't resist mending them. Somehow Noah fixed his schedule. We met more often, sometimes eating together. Without realizing it, we progressed to grocery shopping together. Selecting discounted milk, I turned to see Noah talking with a beautiful girl. Noah caught my gaze and smiled. Sharp brows lifting, red lips curving, devastatingly attractive. Like a beautiful demon. My face heated. I looked away, feigning calm. The girl left disappointed. He approached, naturally taking the eggs from me. She wanted my number. I said I had a girlfriend. You don't mind? Understanding dawned. I was perfectly agreeable. No problem. You can return the favor sometime. Noah's smile stiffened. That chance never came. Noah had many admirers. After I agreed to be his shield, he used me liberally. Even pretended to hold my hand. Our hands so close I felt his palm's warmth. His fingers brushed my palm, traced my fingers. Almost touching but never quite connecting. I instinctively tried to pull back. His low voice stopped me. Don't. If you pull away, they'll know you're not my girlfriend. My ears burned. After a moment, I whispered, done yet? Noah's throat bobbed rapidly. His voice came out rough, not yet. Chapter 7. Days passed, both leisurely and busy. After living together over 6 months, Noah never collected rent. Said my mending clothes covered it. Too intimate. Though initially I'd felt safe because he was handsome with plenty of options, now I wasn't sure. Probably my imagination. To be safe, over dinner I casually pulled out my divorce certificate. Look, almost lost this treasure today. Huh, you know what? My ex-husband was an idiot. See? I'm divorced. Noah's reaction surprised me. He glanced at me quickly, then away, showing me his slightly red ears. I already knew. You don't need to report it. What? I didn't catch that. I was certain of his feelings on my birthday. A birthday I'd forgotten myself. He gave me a puppy. Black and white. Big eyes. Adorable. A border collie that looked just like Noah. I'd always wanted a dog. As a child, no money. Later, dependent on others. Then Alexander didn't like them. Now, finally. I didn't know how Noah knew this wish. Maybe fate. Sophia Whitmore, happy birthday. Woof. Woof woof woof. The last 3 barks were Noah imitating the puppy. I closed my eyes to make a wish. Opening them, I found Noah staring intently. Candlelight flickered, making his eyes especially captivating. Sophia, what did you wish for? He always used my full name, never called me by a nickname. I said I wanted to go home. Not the Whitmore house. To my mother's grave. I hadn't visited in 2 years. Noah looked thoughtful. If I make that wish come true, how will you repay me? Impossible. The moment I landed, Whitmore security would grab me. Noah was joking. Boys his age loved making promises they couldn't keep. I played along, sure, whatever you want in return. Though if it's too hard, I might not manage. It's simple. You can do it. I paused, looking up. Somehow. Noah had gotten close, caging me in. So close I smelled his body wash clean and intoxicating. So close I saw his red lips, his tongue moving as he spoke. He stared unblinking, eyes growing darker. A shrill ringtone interrupted. I jerked back, fumbling for my phone. The caller was Alexander's secretary. After hesitating, I answered. Miss Whitmore, we need a favor. Apparently, someone had exposed Meredith's rise from mistress to wife while Alexander was married. Alexander's secretary wanted me to post a clarification. Don't worry, our PR team wrote it. Just post it to your social media. I skimmed it. Basically, our marriage was loveless, arranged. I'd had someone else. Too. I laughed. Alexander wanted to use me to save Meredith's reputation. I'd thought I'd feel hurt. After all these years together. But I felt nothing. Just wistful. Wistful for the youth wasted revolving around Alexander. I told the secretary, tell Alexander. I never wronged him. He wanted divorce, I agreed without clinging. We're nothing to each other now. Don't contact me again. After thinking, I added, my boyfriend would be upset. I heard something shatter through the phone. Like a glass breaking. Hanging up, I saw Noah's bright eyes. Chapter 8. My wish really came true. The Whitmore family brought me back. The patriarch's last call had been when I just married Alexander. This time he said, Sophia, turns out you're my most useful daughter. I didn't understand until I heard Noah Sterling from his mouth. Now, in the garden, Noah smiled sweetly. Sophia Whitmore, you remember your promise? My feelings were complicated. Deceived. But I couldn't entirely blame him. He'd given his name from the start. Whether his pronunciation was off or my hearing was bad, I'd heard Noah as something else and never connected him to the Sterling family. Of course, he might have done it deliberately. Noah hooked my finger, slightly wheedling. I don't really want repayment, but a reward isn't too much? I nodded. What do you want? Noah stepped closer, eyes meeting mine. Oreo really likes me. Oreo was the border collie. I'd left him with Noah temporarily. So would you consider letting me be Oreo's dad? The sudden directness caught me off guard. Unlike my panic, he smiled calmly, as if he hadn't just said that. If you married that Hawthorne guy for his family status, mine's just as good. For looks, I'm 10,000 times handsomer. Plus 1 point. For personality, I'm fun, understand you better. Plus 1 point. For age, I'm 5 years younger, I can take better care of you. Another point. Most importantly, you don't love him anymore, but you. You like me a little, right? For the first time, I saw uncertainty in his eyes. The finger hooking mine trembled slightly. I didn't understand why he liked me. Reading my confusion, his ears reddened. Sophia, don't you remember? He gave a date. After thinking hard, I remembered. Among unpleasant memories, one willful bunny stood out. Back when Alexander chose me. Actually, Mrs. Hawthorne chose me. Alexander just followed her preference. After being chosen, I was often sent to the Hawthorne estate to bond with Alexander. The Whitmores warned me selection didn't guarantee security. If Alexander changed his mind, or we couldn't develop feelings, he could replace me anytime. So I was constantly anxious, terrified of displeasing Alexander. One day, bringing homemade cake, I found Alexander listening to opera. I sat statue still on the sofa, waiting for him to finish. I heard rustling sounds. Turning, I saw my cake demolished. A girl in a princess dress, hands covered in cream, cheeks stuffed full. This is so good. I command you to come home with me and make these forever. Being dragged away by security, she kept squealing. Her pink princess dress caught and tore in the struggle. She froze, then tears welled up, spilling over. She cried adorably, like a little bunny. My favorite dress. The princess dress is torn. I'm not a princess anymore. She cried so pitifully, I couldn't help asking for needle and thread. I mended her dress. She grabbed my hand. You're Alexander's fiancé? You can bake and do magic, you shouldn't be wasted on him. Marry me instead. A domineering princess falling for me. I gently explained that while girls could marry girls, I currently preferred boys. The bunny's eyes reddened, thinking hard, then declared determinedly. Then I'll become a boy. Remember to wait for me. The princess dress-wearing bunny had become this mixed-race model-faced man holding my hand. Noah scratched his cheek embarrassedly. I was young. Did you get surgery? I asked. I did not. Oh, so he just liked wearing dresses and being a princess as a child. I expressed understanding. Who didn't? As a result, he was sent to an all-boys boarding school abroad for correction. When I married Alexander, he hadn't graduated. By graduation, I divorced Alexander. Fate consisted of such coincidences. So do you like me a little now? Feelings couldn't be hidden. I nodded. The next moment, Noah smiled brilliantly, gripping my hand tightly. Interlacing all 10 fingers. The hands that had tested boundaries, brushed together so many times, finally connected properly. He sighed contentedly. Then I get 1,000 points. Chapter 9. Fireworks lit up the distant banquet hall. Everyone watched from afar, not knowing they celebrated someone's grand confession. In the garden after I nodded, Noah was so happy he stuttered. I didn't understand why he chose me. Not that I thought myself unworthy, just had so many options. When I asked, he was silent, then unable to resist, cupped my head and kissed me. His lips caressed mine softly. I heard his desperate swallowing, panting. From shallow to deep, slow to fast. Finally I collapsed weak-kneed against his chest. After kissing, his lips were redder than before, like ripe fruit, gorgeous. Sophia, we met more than once back then. I came to find you. Several times in men's clothes, but you only had eyes for Alexander. So you never noticed I only had eyes for you. Noah drove me home. The patriarch was pleased. But I wasn't. I didn't want Noah taken advantage of. Realizing this thought, I froze, then understood. I liked him more than I'd thought. Noah was delighted to hear it, grinning constantly. Walking, he smiled. Driving, he hummed. Like a proud bunny. Tomorrow I'll introduce you to my friends, he said. First time experiencing this, I was nervous. Alexander had been proud since childhood. With his Hawthorne heir status, he didn't need friends. Though many approached him, few were actual friends. But Noah seemed to have many friends. My heart beat faster, nervous but happy. But while choosing an outfit, Alexander called again. Chapter 10. I'd blocked Alexander's number long ago. But reaching me was easy for him. I thought he was calling personally for something important. When did you come back? Months ago. I almost said, none of your business, but decided against wasting words. I just wanted to finish and hang up. Why didn't you tell me? I could have sent someone to pick you up. Alexander seemed to think I'd snuck back, that the Whitmores wouldn't collect me. He knew my background, knew I disliked the Whitmore family. Young wives think their new husbands will be lifelong companions, wanting to share everything. Wanting their husband's sympathy, understanding. Not knowing that once love dies, men feel nothing hearing these things. They might even use them to control you. Like when Alexander had the Whitmores send me abroad. I laughed, too lazy to answer. Alexander seemed oblivious to my indifference, continuing. Actually, it's fine you're back. It's been long enough, Meredith doesn't mind anymore. You don't need to leave again. But Sophia, I hope you'll minimize appearances. We're over, after all. He seemed to think I'd returned for him. Why did he think after 3 years I still couldn't let go? He cheated, not died. Why would I pine for 3 years? Amused and annoyed, I said directly, Mr. Hawthorne, I'm busy. What do you want? My impatience was clear. Silence, then Alexander hung up. I thought I wouldn't see him again. But we met soon after. The next day, I went alone to Noah's restaurant. Noah said he had something to handle, asked me to go ahead. Nervous but agreeing, I spent hours preparing beauty treatments, wearing my own designs. But at the restaurant entrance, before the person meant to see my beauty arrived, I met Alexander. Seeing me, amazement flashed in his eyes. He instinctively stepped forward but stopped, seeming to catch himself. His expression turned complex disgust, understanding, helplessness, mixed with hidden joy. Looking down at me, Sophia Whitmore, I warned you. We're finished. Stop wasting effort. I suppressed the urge to slap him. Purely for Mrs. Hawthorne's sake. My living expenses abroad came from Mrs. Hawthorne. Neither the Whitmores nor Alexander had considered whether I'd survive alone abroad. Thanks to Mrs. Hawthorne's money, I'd finished my fashion design degree. I tried explaining, I'm not here for you. Alexander didn't believe me. He turned and walked inside. Unfortunately, I was headed the same direction. Awkwardly, I seemed to be desperately following him. Reaching my destination, I was about to open private room 1 when Alexander grabbed my wrist. Wrong room. I made a confused sound. Alexander said patiently, we were married. I don't want to see you sent abroad again. This is booked by the Sterling heir. He's proposing today. If you disrupt his proposal, I can't protect you. You're not my wife anymore. He kept talking but I couldn't focus. My mind was full of proposal. Too fast. We'd lived together a while but officially dated only months. Had he dated anyone before me? Was I his first love, making him blind? We hadn't even been intimate. Noah said to wait, not wanting to be hasty. Such a conservative, cautious bunny. My heart raced, ignoring Alexander completely. His grip was annoying. I shook him off. Sophia. Alexander sounded angry. Stop being childish. You just want to see if I still care? Yes. Since you left, I've dreamed of you several times. But so what? My wife is Meredith. She's not like you rich girls down to earth, shows me real life. Alexander rambled as if convincing himself. Alexander himself came from common origins. His family were distant Hawthorne relatives. Even his surname changed after Mrs. Hawthorne adopted him. But no one could tell seemed born an elite who'd never worn cheap clothes. Mrs. Hawthorne told me his background. I'd thought it made us more compatible. I was brought to the Whitmores. I didn't belong in high society either. But Alexander desperately erased his past, barely contacting his birth parents. Now he said he loved Meredith for being down-to-earth. For down-to-earth, he could visit his birth parents. I didn't believe it. I'd rather believe Meredith's methods of pleasing him were more down-to-earth. He tried grabbing my hand again. I dodged. Don't touch me. Disgusting. Alexander's hand froze midair. His eyes widened as if unable to believe what he'd heard. Using his shock, I opened the door. Oreo jumped into my arms. Among petals and balloons, someone knelt on one knee. Sophia Whitmore, will you? Oreo tactfully gave Noah the stage. All my concerns vanished. In his expectant gaze. Be passionate again. Divorce wasn't that bad anyway. Noah's friends watched smiling. Finally, witnessed by everyone including Alexander, Noah and I kissed. Alexander watched in disbelief. Seeing him, Noah deliberately kissed longer. Until I couldn't breathe, completely limp in his arms. Alexander stared dumbly. Trying to approach, Oreo kicked him several times. He fell easily, looking lost, muttering. Sophia, I haven't decided yet. How can you be with him? Then the door slowly closed on his dazed, almost desperate eyes. Chapter 11, ending. Before my engagement, Alexander found me again. He brought bodyguards to block my apartment. Sophia, you think the Sterlings will accept a divorcee? Noah's just infatuated. A never-married man and a divorced womanure not compatible. Annoyed, I snapped, by your logic, I can only find divorced men. Alexander stared at me, deliberately ignoring my mockery, voice hoarse. We should remarry. Most compatible. I didn't know where he found the audacity. Alexander's bodyguards blocked my path. Apparently I couldn't leave without answering. Fortunately, Mrs. Hawthorne arrived quickly with her people. Since discovering Alexander's confusion, I'd told Mrs. Hawthorne. This time Two-Eyed messaged her immediately upon seeing Alexander. Mrs. Hawthorne looked at Alexander with pure disappointment. Wishy-washy, indecisive, ungrateful, fickle. Alex, I regret adopting you. Alex. Must be Alexander's original name. Alexander went pale but wasn't completely cowed. Since adulthood, he'd been trying to wrest power from Mrs. Hawthorne. Though unsuccessful, he'd made progress. If he broke with Mrs. Hawthorne, he estimated 60% chance of taking control of the Hawthorne empire. At least, that's what he believed. Mrs. Hawthorne always saw him as a clown. He probably didn't know Mrs. Hawthorne started grooming another heir the year Alexander divorced me. This time a girl, still in school. His betrayal made Mrs. Hawthorne realize she'd chosen wrong. Could a man who cheated during marriage be trusted with anything? But years of mother-son affection remained, and Alexander managed the Hawthorne business well, so Mrs. Hawthorne kept him. If he didn't disappoint her further, supporting him in future wasn't impossible. But now, he seemed headed for expulsion from the Hawthornes. Mrs. Hawthorne looked at him coldly, like Alexander had when asking for divorce. Actually, Alexander always unconsciously imitated Mrs. Hawthorne's expressions and mannerisms without learning her character. You divorced Sophia for Meredith without my interference. Now you want to divorce Meredith for Sophia? Will you remarry? Alexander said firmly, Mother, it's my marriage. I decide. I've recognized my feelings for Sophia. We belong together. Mrs. Hawthorne laughed mockingly. Feelings? You think I don't know how? Many secretaries have warmed your bed these years? Alexander froze, eyes widening. I wasn't surprised. After the first Meredith, naturally there'd be a second, third. Alexander looked worse. Finally, Mrs. Hawthorne's bodyguards took him away. That was my last time seeing Alexander. I heard Mrs. Hawthorne sent him and Meredith back to his birth parents in another city. Alexander fell from grace overnight, returned to his origins. Wonder if he could adapt. Meredith definitely couldn't. I once saw her with an older businessman. But none of that concerned me. Later, Noah and I had a simple wedding. After visiting graves and dining with friends, we went on a world tour. Mrs. Sterling didn't like me but didn't object. Noah had always been headstrong since childhood. She'd never won against him. Like the princess dress phase. Noah had no interest in inheriting the business. There were professional managers, or Mrs. Sterling could have another child. I thought him unfilial and tried to say something but he silenced me with kisses. Holding me, whining, don't want to hear it. Want kisses. The end.